You're good?
I'm good.
Okay, so Julie, why don't we just chat for like 5 minutes or something? You kind of had a good idea here. I'm in like paid advertising, you're in social media and
Mhm.
brand building. Um, Tell me a little bit more about what you're seeing out there right now during these times.
Yeah. So, as things are very different now, but at its core, marketing hasn't changed much in terms of, brand building and getting clients. The objections of selling is always going to be there, and how you overcome these obstacles of, too little time, too little money, or anything like that is still in the same way. But in the times of the pandemic, you need to be more engaging. So anything that you are already doing, whether that's engaging with your audience, providing value to them, building trust, using content, or any type of incentive, you just need to consistently do it, and even more, so you can outlast your competitors when they are not thinking about doing this. So if you are engaging with your communities for 15 minutes a day on your social media platforms, try spending an hour now. And if you are spending time creating gated content or any type of lead magnet for people to download, double down on that. Create more content for people to download. If something is not enticing, ask your community how can you provide even more value to them.
Yeah. Let
Yeah.
me ask two questions related to that because it sounds like you're talking directly to businesses who might want to work with you.
Mhm.
Let's chat about one, what are the expectations of kind of consumers and audiences right now as it relates to what you just said? And
Mhm.
number two, should you choose to accept, what organizations out there are doing a particularly good job of this thing that you're recommending?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say consumer expectations are higher than ever right now, in a sense where they're really expecting brands to listen. You need to make sure that you are not being too pushy and you're understanding of their situation. You have to be aware of everyone's financial situation, the different situations in different countries, and be very genuine and caring about these things. So whether that's extending your return and exchange policies, telling people that you have additional customer service available if there is shipping or customs issues. So stuff like that really helps people understand how you are there for them in these challenging times, and how it makes you different from your competitors, because everyone's competing to get everyone's attentions online, and it's a very noisy landscape. And in order to cut through this noise, you truly have to stand out, to be there for people and listen to what they need.
Yeah. I mean,
So that's, yeah.
sorry, maybe you want to cut me off after I cut you off, which is fine, and please do. Um, I've definitely seen a lot of emails, more so like a month ago,
Mhm.
where every brand, every email newsletter I had ever subscribed to was like, "We're here for you, we're here for you." And I was like, wow, there's a lot of organizations that are here for me right now. I don't
Mhm.
even know what to ask. And then there's the people out there that are, they're on LinkedIn, they're on Facebook, they're on YouTube, they're launching webinars where they're actually trying to provide a little bit more clarity and guidance,
Mhm.
which to me feels more like they're there for me. They're actually trying to like add value. They're doing more than they say
Yes.
in essence. Um, yeah, can you just sort of speak to
Yeah, of
what
course.
it looks like to kind of authentically be there for people and how you would gauge if you were getting it right?
Yeah, for sure. So, those emails that you kind of talked about, I would see them more as a general announcement to remind people that you're there, just to remind people that, you're still open, you haven't shut down, and you're still in operation, however that might be. So give a little bit of detail on that. But other than that, how do you move forward to, generate leads or actually push people down your sales pipeline? I think what is important more than ever in this situation is to be very, very specific about your offering, because there's so much going on out there. If you're just saying, we're here to help, we're here to help, But beyond that, you need to tell people exactly how you are helping them and how it benefits them and why they need it now. So these are, the sales principles and marketing principles at its core, but you really have to tighten it up, especially in times right now, to make sure that it's laser focused. So right away, people know what you're offering them.
Yeah.
What is a good example? So I would say actually, I would have to give a think on that and give you an example of a brand that's doing really, really well on this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm going to call out, I'll call out maybe two, maybe three, if I can remember the third one. One, Aritzia,
Mhm.
which is hiring, is doing a fine job right now
Mhm.
in continuing to define their brand, even during these times, with a
Mhm.
lot of authenticity. So as an e-commerce brand, I think that that's huge. And especially because we're in a pandemic and, I don't know about a recession. I'm not an economist, but like people are less inclined to spend right now. They've either been laid off or they're waiting to see what happens. I know there's some investors out there who are trying to get stocks at discount prices. But my point just being a lot of what you've just said is show them that you're there for them, make it very clear what your like product value is. But I would love to ask a bit about what is the balance of content right now when it comes to, the soft sell, the hard sell, and no sell at all, and really just trying to sort of connect with your audience and provide value and you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, for sure. So I would say the no sell, the hard sell, and the soft sell. Um, it is a delicate balance. I would stay away from a hard sell right at this moment. So I would focus on the no sell and hard sell, but I would definitely focus on the soft selling,
mhm,
because people want to be aware of your brand and what you can do, but to a certain point, you need to start giving instructions and calls to actions on how to engage with you. And everyone is on their screen so much nowadays. So it does really pay off to be persistent and consistent. It doesn't matter if you're adding a call to action at the end of every blog post, for example. It's not going to bother people because they can just scroll past it. It's so fast to, you know, remind them as well. They are given an opportunity to exit as well.
yeah.
So,
Well, there's going to be people out there who think, okay, we're on all these social media channels and email and video. We have to be everywhere, everywhere. We have to be everything to everyone.
mhm.
How would you recommend people begin to think about like what to produce and where to publish it and that kind of thing?
Yeah. So my like first piece of advice is don't be everything to everyone. That is not really going to work, especially if you have a limited budget to work with. So that just usually creates a mess because you're doing a little bit there, you're doing a little bit here, and overall, it's not usually quite as effective as if you focused on the channels where your audience hang out. So you talked about platform. So now more than ever, because people have limited budgets, you really have to focus on where your audience is. So if prior to the pandemic, you had a really great understanding of your audience, whether that's they spend most of their time on YouTube, they're usually an older demographic, but they have a higher, income and more willingness to spend money. This profile, it could be adjusted in the pandemic. So likely people will have to rewrite this kind of audience profile. And if prior to the pandemic, you do not have this, now would be a good time to set up these profiles because they're so important to not just content marketing, social media, and choosing your platforms to promote your materials, but also, in your field of digital advertising. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, did you have questions for me too?
Yes. I would love to hear your thoughts on, digital advertising in the current situation. I'm sure a lot of businesses have slashed their marketing budget in terms of advertising budget. What are the most cost-effective ways to promote your brand and your business right now?
Yeah, I mean that's a really good question, and I'll just say the short answer is like, I don't know.
Mhm.
Um, and I say that mainly because I don't want to pretend that I have the like crystal ball here. What I have seen is a lot less advertising.
Mhm.
Companies who were doing the hard sell before, they are less inclined to do that because they want to be mindful of the context that we're in. And CBC just had a podcast about advertising right now and how a lot of publishers and a lot of brands, they don't want to be in front of content on the web that deals with COVID-19. So their brand safety is at a very heightened concern level right now for some brands who really don't want to be beside that post about, how many infections and deaths there were today. And I think brand safety has always been a concern, but right now in particular, it's a concern. The flip side of that is that the all the ad auctions right now, Facebook, Google, wherever, it's never, well, rarely has it ever been this cheap to advertise. People who are paying on like a whatever, a cost per click model or cost per impression model, the auction's not very competitive because a lot of people are concerned about brand safety. And they've also slashed budgets. They've had to lay off a bunch of people or freeze hiring or that kind of thing. So
Mhm.
I think there's some people who could really try to capitalize on this.
Mhm.
Um, E-commerce brands, especially right now, are doing pretty well. Like I ran into like a UPS guy on the street and I just said, "Hey, how's it going right now?" And he said, "Look, commercial deliveries are down, but residential deliveries way up."
Busy. Huh?
So people who do have disposable income, which is definitely not everybody,
Mhm.
they're trying to get anything they can from e-commerce sites to their heart's desire, essentially within reason. And so I think e-commerce is booming right now. Shopify must be pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
There was an event yesterday where they were talking about Shopify fulfillment and that kind of thing. So if you were an e-commerce company right now, there's a chance that you could put out something that did have brand safety that could promote your product and then people could like buy it online and do that. And I think e-commerce brands, depending on the price point, I think they sort of have an edge on other brands where the sell is a little more difficult because you're talking about, say, like in the B2B space, right? Or like business to business where the price point is like, five to $50,000 or something. I think those people have a harder time right now convincing others to purchase.
Mhm.
So to get back to your original question though, cost-effective measures,
Mhm.
I'm seeing a ton of brands right now put out a lot of candid content that they wouldn't normally put out. The
Mhm.
sell and the connection that brands are having
Mhm.
is so soft right now. Like Arc'teryx, for example, even this morning, they're putting out these well-produced videos that, to my sort of knowledge, don't have a lot to do with selling product. They really are doing a very good job of creating content that I think their audience, their people would love, right? Their following.
Mhm.
But and then once in a while there's like an image or something where it's like a clickable image where you could purchase something, but
Mhm.
the resources that are going into like funny content, informative content, all this top of funnel content that most brands don't seem to have budget for or like the creative bandwidth for. I think a lot of the brands that are succeeding right now are putting that out there.
Yeah.
um, but then at the same time I'm seeing investment more in like a better website
Mhm.
or better presence on Facebook. Like if you're not listed on, Facebook, Google
Mhm.
My Business,
Mhm.
Nextdoor, Yelp, all of these platforms where people are probably expecting to hear from you. I think a cost effective way that doesn't involve advertising at all is just showing up to some of these platforms.
Mhm.
And then, other ones include just trying to hold events. I think everybody knows how to use Zoom now. I'm seeing a lot of activity on Zoom and through Meetup and Eventbrite. So if you were hoping to connect with maybe a new audience
Mhm.
to demonstrate something that relates to your brand, you could launch an event on there fairly inexpensively and get a more intimate sort of conversation happening where you could position yourself as an expert, but connect with that new audience and then just sort of promote that through your social channels. I think a lot of people are looking for that kind of sort of social informative experience.
Yeah. And just to add on a little bit, if you're a business owner, now is actually a great time to go back to your past clients and ask for those testimonials and reviews for all your pages, because, most people are willing and open to helping others. If you say, this is very important to my business right now, I would appreciate it if you could write me a testimonial. Most people will happily do it for you. And that really gives you that boost in a time where people aren't sure what they're doing. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, gee. Do we have enough footage here?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost tempted to post this, but we won't without your you probably want to do this again. So why don't we? I'm going to end this meeting just to end it,
Okay.
and then let's go back to the other.
Link.
Actually,